Sound check 1 2. Sound check 1 2. Sound check. Everybody hear me all right? Or do I need to get the microphone closer? Sound check. All right, perfect. All right, thanks, Match. I appreciate that. All right, so let's go ahead and delve into what we got here with Bitcoin, right? So I got the futures chart up right now. Squeeze is still long, right? And all we've seen basically is just a consolidation from the highs, right? Right around the trend line. Okay? Still holding above the 50 EMA. Very close to filling that gap. Very close. But still not there yet. 10 EMA and 20 EMA are right up here, getting close to the 50. So we're in that zone where if you want to take a long position, you can feel pretty comfortable with it, I would think, at this point right here. But just have a stop loss. I mean, depending on your risk and where you're thinking, right? What your risk is. But this almost looks like a bullish flag to me, right? I see that corrective pattern right here. Not saying that it can't just drop off a cliff, right? Anything can happen in crypto. But this looks very corrective to me. Very corrective. And right at the trend line. So my guess is that this area right here, as long as it holds that 88, 85 area where the gap, all these EMAs are coming up to meet, we're in that area where, you know, you could feel comfortable about taking a position, in my opinion. And then play the bounce from there. So we'll see what happens. You know, squeeze is long, comfortable on longs. You know, it's a buy the dip deal, right? So we'll see what happens. Getting a little toppy. I say toppy, but good Lord, back here, you know, it's just one of those deals where the slow stocks, when they get up here, you can obviously stay overbought for a while. So we'll see. So anyway, that's the futures chart. If we go over to, and I'll change my pointer focus back to black so everybody can see what I'm pointing at. This is the Coinbase chart. It's a continuous chart. Same sort of thing. Still a long way to go before the candle closes, but I would really feel more bullish about things, you know, if we could get a green stick inside that red stick right there, right? So we got this doji right here forming. I would like to see it get back inside of this red stick right here the previous day. Get a green doji right in there, just to let bears know that, hey, the bulls are still here. But like I said, there's still a lot of time to go. There's still, you know, this thing could still come back inside, and the Bollinger Bands could just, this thing could go sideways for a few days, right? Still could. But what I like about it is that we're still holding above, closing wise, the 200-day moving average, which is very nice. We still have the 10 and the 20 hooking up. Good stuff. Let's just kind of meander in this area. I mean, let's let it consolidate and just do its thing and let these moving averages get closer to each other, right? So things take time, guys. I mean, you can't. It's not like we made this huge move right here, and you can't expect it's just going to go straight to the moon, right? And I'm sure everybody in their dog is probably thinking, hey, let's just get to 12,000. Let's get to 11,000. It doesn't happen that way. It doesn't happen that quick, right? So let's just let things consolidate. Let's go sideways for a while. There's nothing wrong with that. Doesn't mean you can't play like on a 4-hour chart. Doesn't mean you can't scalp it, right, if you want to. All right, but as we talked about yesterday, we had this move here. We're just consolidating, and look at the Bollinger Bands on the 4-hour chart. We're just tight. We're real tight. Okay, really tight right in here. Holding above the 50 EMA and the 50% retracement. There's still a chance, obviously, that we could go down and test this area down here at the 61.8, which would be right around close to where the 200 and the 233 EMAs, or not EMAs, but the simple moving averages are. So still a chance to get down in there. But this is a buy the dip opportunity, in my opinion. Okay? Just look at that corrective kind of after the big move, corrective. And then now we're wanting to see what's going to happen with the Bollinger Bands coming up here in the next couple of days, right? Could happen tomorrow, could happen the next day. Are they going to expand upwards, or are we going to go down and then go upwards? That's the question. Okay? My guess, and this is just a guess, right? I'm not calling any kind of alerts or anything like that. But if this area right here fails, then obviously we're coming down to the next fib retracement. And once we get to the 61.8, I think that's the area that it really takes off from. Okay? It could happen from here. Okay? It could happen from 8,800. And I would like to see it get down there and, obviously on the Coinbase chart, it's got to get a little bit lower to fill the gap instead of the future chart. But we're just a wick away from hitting and filling that gap and then taking off. So let's see how it plays out. There's still, I just think it's a buy the dip opportunity. All right, so that's Bitcoin. All right, any questions on Bitcoin? And I'll give it a few second delay. I mean, I know there's a delay in here, so I'll get a couple of seconds for you guys to type your questions and whatnot before I move on to the next chart. Okay. And if you have a question, I'll come back to it. I'm just going to move on to the next chart. Let's go look at the dominance chart. Pretty much the same thing, and this is on a 4-hour chart, right? This one, interestingly enough, had a gap, right? Weird. I did not notice this the other night on a 4-hour chart, and this is on, I'm sorry, futures. There we go. Let's do this. This is on the trading view. There we go. All right. So there's your gap. All right. Very close to it. Hanging around that area. See if it fills it and then takes off. Bitcoin dominance. That is starting to look like a reversal pattern. Okay, on a 4-hour chart, right? 4-hour chart, reversal pattern. The question is, does it come down here and make a double bottom and then take off? Or is this just going to fall off a cliff and then the alts take off? That's going to be the question. If we go over to a daily chart, still holding the 50% retracement. As I've said before, happy Halloween, by the way. As I've said before, I mean, the 50% retracement to me is like, I'm not a big fan. I mean, yeah, things retrace 50%, and I get it. That's fine. But to me, the 61.8 is a more important area to bounce off of, right? Doesn't mean you can't bounce off the 50 and then make a little bit of something and then, go up but to me, the 61.8 or the 78.6 are better bounce areas, right? So, but we could hit the 50 and then come up and hit this 61.8 up here at 71.25 and then go down, right? So that's kind of what I'm looking at there. Let's look at this candle. This is today's. Still not closed out yet. We got, 7 more minutes left. And when I see people call this a shooting star, but when I see a green body, that just tells me that bulls were trying to follow through, couldn't get it done, but then the shorts could not push it further below. So that means, the bulls that got in here are still holding on, and this could go higher. So that's what I look at when I see a green body on a wick on the upside. Let's go look at Litecoin. And same thing as Bitcoin. I'm actually bullish on Litecoin. I really am. I think this pattern, and it's the same as Bitcoin, right? And I will be absolutely shocked because we had the huge reversal right on the daily, right? Things are coming down, and then you had the big red stick, doji, green candle, and all we're doing here is consolidating this big move right here. Doesn't mean it can't drop in just a little bit further, but I'm expecting more upside out of Litecoin. I'm just thinking more upside out of Litecoin. Whether that's tomorrow, the next day, I think as long as it holds the 10 and 20 here, more upside is coming on Litecoin. And I think that's going to be the way on the majors. That's probably what's going to end up happening. But if this area fails and it comes and drops back down into here, then we got problems. All right. So that's Litecoin. Let's look at Ethereum, since that's the altcoin chart. Or majority of alts move based off this. And I was worried last night about that bullish, it was a bearish engulfing candle. And with good reason, right? Because we broke through the 38.2. So we're going to get rid of that. And now we're testing the 50% retracement. Okay. So I'm a little bit not worried, but it just goes on my watch list, right? To watch. Right here, this area. I mean, that candle, like I said last night, it was like either going to be a bearish engulfing or it's going to be a dark cloud cover right there. But it has to have follow through on the next day. Okay, so that's going to be very important, right? And price is outside the Bollinger Band, my bad. It wicked below the 10 and the 20, and it's hanging around the 50, right? So don't be surprised if you get some sort of wick down into the 61.8 at 170. Don't be surprised. Okay? It could. And when price is up here And we've seen this before on Bollinger Bands. Hanging around the upper end of the Bollinger Band, that is resistance. So what normally happens? You want to come down and you want to test support. Support is down here where the lower Bollinger Band is. And we've got the 78.6 down here at 163. So just keep in mind on that, right? Because if it breaks below the 10 and the 20, and it's trying to break below the 50, then this thing could drop all the way back down into here and then move higher. I mean, we're overbought on indicators, right? We've seen this before. Right here, drop, and we're right here again. So let's just look at past experience and see what's going on. And, hopefully Ethereum can negate this candle pattern, but we're not going to know that until tomorrow. So caution advised. All right. So that's Ethereum. Let's look at XRP. I know a lot of people were talking about this one, and I was talking in live stream last night or yesterday about being cautious on this one, and even for the last couple of days, I think. But you've got so much resistance overhead, right? So much resistance right up here, obviously. The 233 and the 200, previous high over here, boom, upper Bollinger Band. It's not a time to just rush in, right? Not a time to rush in. Don't let people FOMO you into this and say, oh, it's going to 40 cents tomorrow. Well, let's look at the charts. Let's just see what the charts are showing. You may be able to get in cheaper. Todd. Yeah. True that. Very true. That's a good one. Oh, man, that's funny. Okay, ADA. Let's go look at ADA. Do you want... And guys, I'll only ask you, if you're asking for a chart request, let me know if you want the USD pair or the BTC pair. And I'm going to refresh this chart. There we go. Had to refresh that so it looks a little better. ADA. You want BTC pair. All right. Let's go over there and look at that. We've talked about this one before. Let's see. Let me make sure I've updated this lately. I'm going to get rid of that. And get rid of that. All right. And I'm going to get rid of this because it broke that. Let's get rid of this. Let's just clean it up a little bit. I'll leave that there, that downtrend line right there. I'll leave that. Yeah, they're expecting to go to the moon. I've heard that for the last few months. Just keep it simple, guys. Don't fall for that crap, okay? Don't fall for it. All right, so XRP, let's just do this. Or I'm sorry, ADA. This is the BTC pair. And I guess what we could do is we could, obviously this low right here is pretty important, okay? And let me thicken it up just a little bit. I was going to, let's see. And let's go right there. All right. So if I was to ask you guys a question about ADA, what does this look like to you guys? Right? This little pattern right in here. To me, it looks like a descending triangle, right? You got a downtrend line, and then you got a base down here at the bottom. That's a descending triangle. But what can happen, not all the time do descending triangles break down below. Not all the time. There are times at the bottom of a pattern where they could break out of it. Okay? And this wick right here that you see, this big long wick, that showed that there was buyers in this area. So there's some support. Obviously, we see it right here, we see it here, and we see it here. So that ought to tell you where your max pain is, right? So let's look at it. Max pain is around 400 sats, right? So now what do you want to do? You're like, okay, well, it's kind of stuck in this little area. Price got way outside the Bollinger Bands. It popped back in. It could still drop further, okay? And let's just do this. Let's do some fibs on it. And basically what I'm going to do is let's take this fib right here, or this low to this high. Okay? And there we are. Right around the 50% mark, right? 50% retrace. That's where it's close to right now. That's where it wicked to. And then got to bounce off that. All right? Everybody see that? I drew it from here to here. Or I'm sorry, from here to here. And that's where it, that's where it's kind of holding its area. I would expect that it probably comes back into the 61.8. And that's going to be around 429. I mean, it could very well just bounce right off this lower Bollinger Band in the 50% and then take off. So if you're playing ADA, then what do you want to do? To me, I would do this. I would say, okay, I'm going to place a limit order to buy ADA at right there at the 50%. Let's just call it that. 437, 438. Buy a little bit there and then ladder your position. Don't go 100% all in, but ladder your position, right? Just say, okay, I'm going to ladder in, and then if it hits the 61.8, then I'll add a little bit more. If it does not hold the 61.8, then I can tell you right now, then this thing is in trouble. And the only thing that bothers me about ADA on the Bitcoin pair is this right up here. Right there. That was a bearish engulfing candle, right? When this thing was looking like it was going to bust out and break out to the upside. Green stick, and then it got engulfed by a big red stick. And then got followed up by another one. I mean, that is bears taking over. That is bearish zone right there. Okay? And so on the upside, if you're playing this, and you can do it two different ways. You could play the breakout, or you could play laddering into it and thinking it's going to bounce. But there's your area to get past, right? Bulls need to get past 475. Have to. Period. You got to get past 475 on the ADA BTC pair. Okay? And so you expand out, and this thing is just consolidating in this lower, area after that big, huge drop down lower, right? Keeps trying to make new highs, and now all of a sudden it's just kind of, meandering and going lower. It wouldn't surprise me if it had one more drop down into the 78.6, and possibly even just to scare the crap out of everybody, just to drop it down into here. 381. 381 would be like a gift, but we'll see how it goes. It may not get there. Bollinger Bands are not suggesting that right now, but this lower Bollinger Band is trying to go lower. Just kind of not much volume. It's like, I don't know. I would stay away from it for right now. I don't think it's one of those just going to blast off to the moon anytime soon. That's just me. I would stay away from it right now. Let's look at Matic. Since I'm in that area where on my charts I was looking at it. It's kind of holding its own. Just kind of below the EMAs right here. If it wants to turn, it's going to have to hold this area right here and then go higher. Golly, that's a tough one. That's really a tough one. I mean, I would. You could right into this area right here where it's coming back to. It broke out and now it's coming back into this area where there was a lot of consolidation. So I guess you could take a long on Matic, right? You could. You know, maybe down in the 130s. You know, once it gets, you know, down into here, that might be a spot to take. 138, 137. And then try to play that bounce if it wants to take off. I mean, that just looks like a 1, 2, 3. That looks like a corrective move after the big. Oh, well, here we go. Hang on. Okay, so I think we talked about this the other night, or last night. 3 white soldiers, right? 1, 2, 3. Okay? Let me do, and I don't know if this is the chart that we did, but let's just go right there. Let's do that. Usually 3 white soldiers will retrace 50 to 60, 61.8% of the retracement. So there was 50 and there was 61.8 and it broke below, and it's actually right around the 78.6. So yeah, I don't know, that could be a failed pattern right there. Really could. But it's in that area where this thing, you know, it just that's a reversal pattern. That's a continuation or reversal pattern. 3 white soldiers. To me, it looks like it failed. That's just me. But this area right in here could be an area to buy. This thing could pump again. And especially if the dominance chart on Bitcoin drops a little bit, this is one that can make a move. But I would make sure to have stop losses in place and just be careful with it. Wow. And let's see, it dropped. Let me get that 78.6 out of there because it broke that. And the 61.8 was from that low right there. So, all right. So your max pain level on Matic is 130. 130 on Matic. And and it's right in this area where all that consolidation was going on. Gonna see how strong bulls are. What else is next? Let's go look at ZRX, maybe? Now let's look at Digibyte. That was right there. Digibyte is right at a fib cluster. Right here. So it has to hold that area, and it looks like it's trying to break below it. So yeah. Digibyte. Man, what a shame. Such a good coin, but just no love, right? There's no love for this coin. It just, yeah. So we'll see. Sad. Dog coin, yeah, like I said, you know, we had that move, and then all of a sudden it breaks down here. That was a decent trade for us. RVN. Wow. That made new lows. Got down to 273. Wow. Okay. So we'll pass on that. Update these fibs. Get rid of the 61.8, 78.6. Next level on RVN, 237. 237. Unless it just holds, if it can hold this area, I mean, obviously it could take off from here, but it's going to take a while. All right, so that's RVN. Let's go find ZRX. And ZRX is another one that's kind of interesting. Had the big, huge move, right? Couple of moves here. Corrected, made another move, correcting again. But it made a double top right up in here. So the 78.6 retracement up here is huge on ZRX. Doesn't mean you can't play the bounce though, right? And it's coming right back into the 200 and 233 day moving average, along with the 50 EMA and the lower Bollinger Band. So this is an area where I think it could be a pretty decent buy. Okay? 50% retracement. You could see a wick down in here where a fib cluster is, and that would be around 24. That would be your ultimate buy area, but it's a risk to wait for it down here. You could ladder into this and buy a little bit of position here, add some here, and then let it break upwards, right? But we'll see. This thing could completely roll over. It's very possible. Any questions or chart requests, guys? I know I'm babbling, and you know me, I like to babble. All right, Todd, let's take a look at NEO USD. I like NEO, I really do. That's a good one. Looks pretty similar to Bitcoin, doesn't it? Right? Very similar. And I have not done a lot of fib retracements on this one. So let's go seeing what we got. And you're going to get to see this live, right? How I do it. Okay? So here we got a top, right? And we got a bottom down here. So let's go do this. Let's go, if that's the ultimate bottom, right? That's all I'm looking at. And let me see if I can get it lined up right on. There we go. All right. So let's, oh shit, I took that out. Dang it. My bad. I'm trying to hit settings. Okay, there we go. All right. Let's get that out of the way. 38.2, it broke past that, so let's go 50%. All right, so it hit the 50% retracement on that low, right? Let's throw in our 61.8 and 78.6. So just in case that is the ultimate low, right? And it made this, and I'll just throw a ray on there, right? Might as well do that. There you go. Double bottom, right? Bottoming action. Bounced off that. So if that is the ultimate low, then that gives us something to go off of, right? But let's go and see if there's something else that might line up. And I have no clue what this wick is right here. I really don't. Did it really do that in one day? Did it really go from 8 to 18? I doubt it. I think that's just a fluke. So I'm not going to draw anything off of that. I'm not going to draw anything off of that wick. I think that's bullcrap. So I'm just going to ignore it, and I'm going to go to something else. And I'm going to go from this high to the low. And it doesn't like that, so let me try again. From that high to this low. All right, and then I'm going to do, and that's not working either, so let's try this. Everything lining up just too perfect. All right, so fib retracement here to there. All right, so now what do we got? Let's just go and check it out. We still have our 50 up there. It broke, obviously, the 61, 50, 78, and the 1.272. Broke the 161.8. Let's throw on a 261.8. And let's throw on a 2.272. Just for giggles and grins. All right. So nothing really lines up as far as major resistance. Okay. At least not here. And 3 white soldiers, but again, like I talked about last night, I would prefer that these are equal, measurement candles, right? That's still a reversal pattern. So don't let anybody confuse you about that. That's still a reversal pattern. Not to mention down here, right? This is huge, okay? I just want you to understand this. You get this big, long downtrend, right? Here we go. Big, long downtrend, meandering, long downtrend. Big red stick, doji, and then a green stick that overtakes the red stick. That's a reversal pattern. Reversal. Doesn't mean that it can't come back and just kind of consolidate and get back into this area and then take off. But this right here tells you something's going on. That's a reversal pattern. Okay, so if you're long, my advice is, depend. And I don't know how much. Are you long this, Todd? And where are you long from? Okay, so you're out. Okay. So now what do you do? All right. You're probably sitting there wondering, man, I got some good profits out of it. Now, if you was following my trading plan, you would still have some in the game, right? Because my philosophy has always been that you don't go 100% into something, right? You don't go 100% in, but you go maybe 25% in, maybe 50% in. And then when it gets to the point where you get your initial investment out plus a little bit of profit, then take it. But leave yourself a position so that you're still in the game, right? Leave yourself, and it's going to be a smaller position, of course, but at least you're building a portfolio, right? And you could always come back to this. You could always come back and rinse and repeat and do it all over again and just build up your position in that coin if you like it, right? But follow the trading plan that I've lined out in my Discord channel. I think it'll really help you out, and you'll build up a portfolio of a lot of coins. I mean, you'll find yourself holding free shares of NEO, free shares of DGB, free shares of ZRX, free shares of BAT, free shares of you name the coin. But if you follow that trading pattern and the plan that I've got lined out, you'll find yourself making some money. It's not going to be huge money, right? Granted, because all we're trying to do is catch the bottom of this whole move. And when this thing starts to turn, and if it gains momentum, especially on the good coins, then you're going to be on the plus side, because you're not going to sit there and stress if you're in Bitcoin and you did the trading plan, it could drop 2,000 points in one day and you're like, whatever. I got free shares. I'm still long. It's like, it's not rocket science. It's like the whole point is that I think everybody wants to go 100% into one coin and they think it's going to make them a millionaire. And you have to get that out of your head. It will not make you a millionaire. Right? We play the setups. Play the setups. Play your setups. Let it bounce. Let it go. And then make your money off of it and get the hell out. But leave yourself enough so you make money, but then you leave some on the table so you don't have to worry about it. All right, so anyway, back to NEO on the daily chart. This is a bearish engulfing right at the top of the upper Bollinger Band. Price has come back inside. So let's go find out where our... Hang on one second, guys. Hang on one sec. Okay, sorry about that. So let's do this. Let's go fib retracements. And let's go from the low to the high. If I can get this lined up. There we go. Low to the high. And let's just throw on our numbers and see where things are lining up, right? And I'm just eyeballing it. Looks like probably a 50% retracement, and there it is. Okay. So 50% retracement. Let's throw on our 61 and 78.6. Let's throw on the 1.272. We'll get those out. There we go. All right. So what are you wanting to do right now, right? So you're sitting there thinking, okay, well, this area over here, okay, and I'm going to draw a ray because I obviously I just see this in my mind. This was an area of resistance, right? Obviously, because price rejected it. So throw on your ray and look what we got. This little area right in here, because of that resistance, this is now should be support. Should be support. Are you seeing that? Right here, resistance. Okay. Follow it over. Broke through that. Now this should be, and I'm going to change that to green. Because it should be support. And it doesn't have to be perfect, right? It's like this little area. I mean, there's a wick right there. There's a close. You know, a lot of people, and here's what you could do too, is just draw a rectangle. You know, you could draw it there and do something like this, right? From where that wick is to the close of that candle, right? So there's your area. That's what you need to hold, right? Because if it breaks below that, then you're coming back to test the 10, the 20, the 50, etc. And it just drops back into the zone, right? So I would just, and not only that, you could do this, okay? I'm not trying to get too technical, but this low right over here, right? I mean, look at this. This low right here was support. Then it broke below and went and that whole time it was resistance, right? So this area right in here was just a consolidation area just below that resistance, right? So price could drop all the way down to the 78.6 and then bounce. So there's two ways to look at it, right? It either holds this area and then takes off, or it falls back in and then consolidates lower into this area. So you have to define your risk of how you're wanting to play this. Do I want to wait until it gets down here? If it does, I'm not saying it will, but if it does, and then bounce, or do I want to play it right here and play it for a bounce short term? So those are things you have to look at when you're charting, right? And when you're trying to define where you're going to get into something. To me, if this thing closes, well, I guess our close is going to be at 7 Eastern or 7 Central. Yeah, 7 Central time. That's a bearish engulfing. That's a bearish engulfing candle. And that just tells me that bears have taken over right in this area. right? And so price is going to more than likely break this area. So anyway, any questions? I'll let you type your questions in there. Give me 2 seconds. I got to use the restroom. All right, guys, I'm back. Any questions about NEO? All right. So that's NEO. What else is out there? I think we talked about theta. Yeah, I didn't like the bearish engulfing candle on that one. It's getting some follow through. This could be coming back into a buy zone for a bounce at some point. Let's see where. Let's take out the 50. Broke the 61.8. So it's getting closer to a buy area, right? Down in here, maybe. 78.6. Major resistance right there at the 200 and 233. But we got the bearish engulfing, so we're going to wait until it brings it back down into here, right? And we could also do something like this. We could do our trend line. All right, let's do this like this. All right. Where would you be buying theta? I'd be buying it right here. That's the trend line, right? That's your trend line. Right in here. So that's theta on the USD pair. ONT looks much like other ones. way outside the Bollinger Band, coming back inside. God, what a strong move that was. Nice reversal pattern. And let's see where things line up. Let's do the fibs on this. 61.8. Okay, so it's right at the 61.8 right now. It needs to hold this right coincidentally where the 10 EMA is. 20 EMA is down here. You would like to see ONT just kind of hold this area right in here at the 61.8 and then continue to move higher. Long wicks out the bottom right in here shows support. Looks like a battle's going on right here with it, so caution advised. But this could be one of those that could just like go higher, right? Could hit down in here and go higher. All right, so that's ONT. Anything else you guys want to look at? Stocks, gold, silver. Coins that I have my eye on right now. So I think last night I said I had Wabi on the watch list. So take a look. Adam was definitely on the watch list, and of course I didn't take a position, and for those of you that got in, good luck. That was nice move. Boom. I think Litecoin Fan, he's in our channel, and he did very well with this one. He was up some pretty good money last night catching that bottom right there, so he did very well. Good for him. Happy for him. Very nice. And that was an area where like it looked like it might hold the 50% retracement, but when you go and take it out, it actually hit the 61.8, right? So 61.8% retracement bounce. Nice. Very nice. Happy for him. That's awesome. Good for him. Let's see. What else was on the watch list? Matic was on the watch list. I think ZRX is still on the watch list. That's one that right in this area I talked about last night. If it can get down into that 24 to 25 cent area, somewhere in this area right here, if it wicks in there, just buy it. I think that'll probably end up taking off. Link. I don't know. I don't think I had Link on the watch list. Should have probably, but it's getting a nice bounce off that support area right over here. Right? Getting a nice bounce off that. Still major major resistance right up here. You had your double top, right? Right into resistance. But if this thing can turn, right, off and hold the 50 EMA, 50 EMA, guys, put it on your charts, right? That's a huge area for things. You're going to get some whippy stuff with the 10 and the 20, but if it can hold the 50, that's the one you want to watch, right? That's the one that drives this thing, right? When it turns, it carries price, right? So that's what you want to watch. Watch that. EOS. I think I've always liked EOS. This one could turn too. All right. Had the resistance up here at the 61.8. Let's find out where the support is. Fib retracement. And let's do this. Let's do 38.2. Yeah. And 50. Yeah. So right now it's holding the 38.2 retracement right here where these moving averages are. I mean, this is a time where on EOS you could possibly take a position but have a stop loss so that if it gets below that, you're out, right? You're playing a bounce, so to speak. This right here with the long wicks coming out the top, that's resistance, right? Somebody is selling into that. I would think that if you're wanting to play a quick scalp, you could buy it here and then hope for, to go 30 cents or 20 cents, whatever. I mean, I don't know what you guys' strategy is. I mean, how much you're wanting to gain. But to me, I would be wanting to buy it down in here. Right down in here. Probably 61.8, 50. Ladder in right in somewhere in here. Because if it wicks down in here, the moving averages are not going to change that dramatically overnight or with one move like that. So if it wicks down into this area, it could pop back up and then these moving averages stay the same, right? They don't cross each other. But again, the 50 EMA is important, as we've talked about. Just trying to hang around it and stay within that area and then let it turn and go back up. And this is one of those that could, if it gets its stuff together, it could move higher and go up here and test the 200 and 233, right? As a lot of things do over time, right? They don't like to get too far away. Let's go back and look at this thing. Got far away, price drifted low, tests it, gets above it, wants to come back and test it. Now it's below it. So what is the thinking here? The thinking is that it will come up and test it over time. Maybe in December. Maybe middle November, Thanksgiving time. This could pop and come up and test it. So watch your moving averages, right? See? Look at this. Once it breaks above, it could make huge moves up to the upside, but it could also make huge moves to the downside. But price always reverts back to the mean. And this is your mean right here. 200 and 233. All right? So does price get back up and test it again? I mean, they're trying to hook down on EOS right here, the 200 and 233. They're coming down. But can price revert back up and retest it and then go down lower? That's the question. No, Brad or Bach. I'll pull it back up. I mean, BTC, I think, is just doing. It's just normal consolidation, right? Normal consolidation, and the way this 200 and 233 EMA is lining up. To me, and I could be wrong, right? I could be totally wrong. But it just looks like this thing could go sideways for a little while. It really could. It could go sideways for a little bit. But I would want to see it hold the 200 or the 233, and especially these EMAs right here. Right? The 10, the 20, the 50, the 200, 233, they're all lined up on each other. Right here. I mean, they are tight. And getting tighter by the day. So let's see what the Bollinger Bands do. I mean, this, I pointed out, this looks like a corrective pattern right here. Okay. We had the big move up, nice reversal pattern. Had the big move up, and then now we're correcting that move, right? So when you look at corrective moves, we're down to the 50% retracement. Now, that's all fine and dandy. I want to get down into here. I want to get down into the 8,800 area. Fill the gap on the futures chart. Okay? Fill that gap and then take off from there. But Bitcoin doesn't always like to do what I like him to do, right? It does occasionally when I put out alerts, but I don't have any kind of red alert yet. I don't see anything that's, giving me major, like red alert, yellow alert, anything like that. I don't have any kind of alerts yet. But when one comes out, usually within 2 days, something is going to happen. And I don't see it yet. I don't see it just yet. I could be wrong. But that looks like a corrective pattern right there after the big move. Right? So we'll see. I mean, it's Thursday. We could get something over the weekend that'll push us a little bit higher, but I just think this, it's just drifting a little bit lower. That's what I'm thinking. Oh, thanks, Bach. Yeah, we're on the same page, right? I just don't see this breaking out just yet. It's not time. Time is not there yet. It could be close though. I mean, we've seen where in the past, we could go back and look when it was a, bull mark, like this move up here. I want to see the stochastic RSI get down here. When it gets down to the bottom, that's when I know that we can play a big move to the upside. But right now, when it's up here, I'm just kind of thinking we may have a little bit more time on our hands. Let's let the stochastic RSI kind of drift back down into the 50 area, this halfway point, and then we can start looking at, potential like going long again, right? This is just all corrective bull crap right now. Right there. That's all corrective stuff. So we'll let it play out. No need to rush. The price is holding steady. Let's just drift a little lower, and hopefully we fill that gap and then take a major move off that. Maybe the stochastic RSI just drops, down to that 50 area, and then boom. Got the trick-or-treaters out right now, but I have no candy right now. I'm too busy doing my charts. All right, Todd, you too, man. Yeah, I'll have some plays coming up here. When I put the plays in the channel, it's only when I feel like really solid about something. I'm not just going to throw out charts there or calls there every day. You know what I'm saying? If I feel really good about something, I'll throw a call in the channel, but I'm just not going to make calls just to make calls. Match. What's my take on Bitcoin's price in the midterm? Level off with Main Street. Yeah, so just like I was saying, I think it's just gonna kind of consolidate for the next, few days. Let's see if we can get the stochastic RSI back down into the 50, maybe even drop all the way down here, and then take off. Right? So I'm not sitting there thinking, although I think this is just a corrective pattern up in here, that doesn't mean price can't go lower and correct lower, right? Because a lot of people got in up in here, right? There was probably a lot of people that FOMO'd right up into this area, which is what, 8,600? They probably FOMO'd into that. There was probably a ton of people that FOMO'd up here. So, and that's going to be another resistance area that we'll have to face. But I'm just saying, let these people that FOMO'd up here, let them just get impatient, right? Let them get impatient and sell out their position, right? And that's what's going on here. They're selling out their position. They're like getting out. And so let everybody soak that in, all the long players. Let them just soak in their sell orders, and let them panic a little bit, get down to this area, and then we take off again and let them FOMO into it again. Does that make sense? It's kind of how charts work. So anyway, yeah, we're just letting the people that got in up here sell their positions, get scared, sell out, and we soak up their sell orders down in here, right? And then we play it to the long side. Now, if we buy it into here and it drops lower, then that's just the risk of the market, right? That's just how it goes. We play it as it gives it to us, but we're trying to get as much risk off the table as possible. So let's let price drift down lower, get it into our area, and play it to the long side. That's what a lot of people don't get. I think they think, and that's why I say when you look at Bollinger Bands, and it's like I talked about last night, we got this big move. The Bollinger Band spread out, but then you got the lower Bollinger Band, looks like it wants to curl back in. And when it curls back in, it's going to bring the upper Bollinger Band and curl it back in. And so what does that do? It does this, right? It does this. It gets pinched, right? Gets into a tight zone like a rubber band, and then you take off from there. So, not saying, again, that we can't go up here and ride the upper Bollinger Band, because we can. But it's one of those, you want to play it to the risk side, right? What's your risk? What are you willing to risk? And to me, I would much rather risk Bitcoin down here in this area. And I still have a position, right? Because I do my trading plan. I've got a position, but I want to buy back in some more. But I would much rather do it right in this area, right? Right in this area than I would like up in this area. It's like why buy at resistance? You don't buy at resistance. No. Never. Buy it when it's at support. And so we've got support here, and support here. So you could ladder yourself in. I could buy 10% here, 10% there, 10% here. And then wait for the bounce. And then sell as it goes up. Right now we're in a holding pattern. Just consolidation, drifting lower, falling back in. Hopefully that makes sense. And there's the futures chart. Throw that back up. Same sort of thing. All right. I'll change the pointer focus and we'll take a look at this. Right, here we go. You can see my note, gap to fill, 88.85, right? Squeeze indicator is still long, right? So what we're looking for, hopefully, is a wick down into something and then take off and get, obviously the momentum for the long, squeeze long going up. So we're wanting to get wicked down into here and then break through this trend line. Same sort of scenario. Bollinger Bands far apart. Yeah, I mean, it looks like a bull flag. It really does. And I talked about that last night. And I think I said it looked kind of funky to me. But it's very possible. I mean, you got a flagpole right here, and it looks better on the Coinbase exchange. But that right there is just like that's just corrective mess. That is corrective as heck. I mean, I don't see how anybody in their right mind, and I'm not trying to rip on anybody, and I could be totally wrong, but for people to think that this thing is going to come all the way back down into here, back down to 7,000 or 7,500, I'm not seeing it. It's going to have to take some sort of major news or something to bring this all the way back down to here. But on a technical view, right now, that looks corrective. That just looks like a corrective move. We had a big, huge move, gap, and then we're correcting back into that gap. And so once we get there and we're right at gap support, close to, or almost filling it, and you got your 20 EMA and the 10 hooking up, we're coming up into this zone right here at 8,900. That's going to be the area to watch for, right, on the futures chart. And then if it can break and hold that, then it can break higher and expand these things out and go up in here and test the what is that, 10,002, 10,274. Go up here and test that, and that's going to be the area you want to sell at, right? You want to sell that area. Buy down in here at 8,800 and sell a 2,000 point move. Doesn't get any easier than that, right? But follow the trading plan, right? Follow my trading plan. That if you're buying here and we get that move, then by the time it gets up in here, you're you've got still got a position. So even if it goes up here and fills the gap, you're still in it. You're still in the position. You just took your profits and your initial investment off the table, and you're writing free stuff. All right. So eventually we're going to get up here and we're going to fill that gap. It's just a matter of when, right? I mean, does it come like tomorrow? Does it come next week? Does it come next month? The timing of this is going to be everything. But overall, I think people can get this out of their minds, at least in my opinion, that this is going to fall off a cliff. Just get it out of your mind. And if it does, I'll be the first to come in here and tell you I was wrong. Be the first to tell you I was wrong. All right. So, any other questions? That's Bitcoin futures. Let's go look at what the S&P did today. Looks like a doji right at the top. All right. Top of this pattern at the 127.2 or close to it. Squeeze indicator is nothing. Red dots. Red dots. So that would give me pause on this move to the upside. Still kind of thinking we could move a little bit higher. We'll see what happens tomorrow. But at some point, she's got to come back and test the 10 and the 20, right? Getting too far apart. Got to come back and test those. So whether that's tomorrow or the next day, we shall see. Fabio. What is holding BTC where it is at? So what do I... Okay, so it's kind of like what I was talking about earlier, right, Fabio? And I'll just kind of go over this again. Let me get my cursor back to the right color. All right, so I want you to watch this, right? Okay, so basically what we've had, right, is we had a consolidation pattern back in here. And then we had a move down below. And what happened when it broke below this, right, this support zone, it came down and it tested an important fib cluster area. Okay, so there was probably a lot of people that got stopped out because they were looking at low, low, low. And if it goes below that, then I'm getting the hell out. So they got out, and what happened? All your big buyers were sitting there waiting below at this fib cluster where support was, and they got in. And they just reversed it on them, right? So now what happens? Now we get up here and we test the 61.8, and we're also getting up to, I'll point this out, this area, which was a bunch of consolidation before the drop, right? So price hit this, a lot of sellers up in this area, right? And so what is going on now? Well, we had this big move to the upside. People FOMO into this. Okay, they get in, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh crap. Okay, well, I'm stuck. I'm stuck in Bitcoin now again at 10,200, right? Or 10,000, actually 10,400. I'm stuck in this area. So what am I going to do? Well, I can't hang on to this because somebody on crypto Twitter told me that this thing's going to move. So I'm going to sell this. I'm going to buy that. And that's what happens. And not only that, but you get profit takers, right? Huge move, right? People naturally take profits, but the people that FOMO'd into this are selling out. And so what's going on now is you've got a corrective pattern coming down for those people that got in way above the Bollinger Bands, which I point out all the time. When price gets above it, get the heck out. Okay? Well, there's not a lot of people out there with Bollinger Bands on their chart. All they see is a chart, and they're like, oh, this thing's going to go straight up. Well, it doesn't. It falls back inside the Bollinger Bands, and so now we're in a corrective pattern. And this could take a few days, maybe a week, to play out. All right? Because all these people that got in up here are scared as hell. They're like, oh crap, we're going to drop all the way down to, and I'm sure people on crypto Twitter, we're going down to 3,000, we're going down to 5,000. They're going to scare them out of their position, and they're going to sell, 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 sell. And that's what's going on here. People are getting out of their positions, but support is holding up, right? Right in this area. Support is holding. Okay? That's what's going on. You got a bunch of weak hands that are getting the heck out. And there's a lot of strong hands just below that are willing to soak it in. They're like, okay, I scared him out of this. I'm going to buy it back here. And then I'm going to buy it back here, but then I'm going to scare the shit out of him and make him FOMO into it up here. Okay, where these red lines are, I'm going to make them FOMO into it there. And it's going to FOMO, and it may go a little bit higher than that. But then they're going to sell into it. They're going to sell into their buying. Right? That's how it works. That's how the markets work. They buy at lower prices. They scare you out of your position. And I say they. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's just... it's a general term for me because there's a lot of smart traders out there, a lot of smart ones, a lot of rich ones, and they know what they're doing. They're disciplined. They're like, okay, I'm going to wait until price gets here at support. I'm going to let somebody sell into me. I'm going to buy it. And then before you know it, you get that buyer and then another guy behind him and another guy behind him. And then there's the move. And then you get everybody else on Twitter, Facebook, all around the world going, oh, I need to get into this. And then there's your buying pressure. All right? Huge buying pressure. And then all of a sudden you get a top. That's where you get your top from. So let everything kind of settle down, soak into the area you want to get and buy into. Okay? You don't FOMO into this just assuming that that's going to be the next move. You just wait until it gets into your zone, right? So anyway, that's what I got. Been around this 20 years, bro. Seen it too many times. Too many times. Never changes. It's funny. I would think after 20 years of seeing this that it would change, but it never does. It's the same pattern every time. It's crazy. Oh, like I said on the BB squeeze, basically what you're wanting to do on that is like it's a buy the dip type of mentality. At least that's what it shows me. So, we're in one of those patterns where, let it, if it dips down, buy the dip, and then that histogram, it should go higher, right? Because that histogram can last 8 to 9 bars, maybe 12, right? On a bullish note. So we're sitting there thinking to ourselves that, well, let's look at it. Let's pull it up. There it is. Okay. So back here we got a I don't even think that was, we got 3 days of a bullish squeeze. And it didn't do a lot. All right. We got a nice little bounce up in here, but I want to see this thing expand out to 10, 12 bars, right? For a bullish move up into here. That's what I want to see. I'm not saying it's going to get there. I'm really not. But I like the way it reversed this momentum off the sell, right? This short squeeze. The shorts lost control right in here with the yellow histogram. They were losing control. And then we went green. All right, got the big red or big green stick right here. And now we're just kind of like, okay, let's buy the dip and maybe we can break that trend line. Right? Break that trend line right there. Maybe get up into that 10,200 area. 10,003. Somewhere up in here. Let's just get back up into that area where all that mess was going on with everybody wanting to sell, and let's just consolidate there. Let's build a zone here and then bounce and get up into this area, consolidate, and then take off from there. That's what I want to see. It's not going to be a moonshot, I don't think. Okay? That's not what I'm thinking. Right? Because you got a lot of pressure, selling pressure right in this area. Right? Obviously, from when we dropped. There was a big consolidation area right in here when we look like we might break new highs. Try to break new highs, couldn't. Try to break new highs, and then failed. And so now we're back into this area right in here, 10,002 to 10,003. That's the area we want to get above, right? Then let's go ahead and fill the gap. Drop down a little bit, consolidate a little bit more just above this area, and then take off and go to wherever. It's going to take some time. It's not going to be like next month, next week. It's going to take some time to get through all this. This is just how charts work. I know everybody wants it right now. Everybody's impatient. But let's just let it play out. Let it play out. Yeah. Match. I mean, that's how traders react. I mean, and I'm sure I'll tell you this, when I was starting out in the market, I was the same way. I was the same doggone way. I was like, wow, this thing's taking off. And I would get into it and wait until it hit the top. And all of a sudden I'd be like, okay, I made 10 cents. And then all of a sudden the thing turns around and I'm like, oh, well, hell, I got to get out. Okay, it's dropping. I'm losing money. I got to get out. And I sell, right? So I was up a little bit of money for like briefly. for like 5 seconds or, a minute. I was looking good. Yeah, I'm looking good, man. I'm making money. And all of a sudden, it turns real quick and I'm like, oh shit, I'm losing money. I better get out. And that's where inexperience comes in. It's like people don't have a plan. They just sit there and look at charts and they see these candles. And that's where I'll tell you guys, if you're sitting there looking at a 5-minute chart or a 10-minute chart and you see a big green candle, raise your hand if you're sitting there thinking, oh, I want to get into that. I'm looking really good. Green stick, I'm ready to get in. Raise your hand. Because I'll raise my hand. That's what I did 20 years ago. You could name it. 5-minute chart, 30-minute chart, 1-hour chart. I would see this big green stick and I'd be like, oh shit, I'm missing out. I got to buy into this. And so I would buy into it, not thinking that there was somebody back below me that was selling into me. And that's where I was a dumbass, right? I was so green back then. It was like, wow, I was so stupid. What a dumbass. But now I want to do the opposite. I want to be the guy that buys the low and sells into those dumbasses that are buying it at the top. So don't be scared of drops, right? Don't be scared of if something is dropping, don't be scared of that. And look at my Bollinger Bands. If you don't have Bollinger Bands on your chart, get them on there right now. Right now. Get Bollinger Bands on your chart. Because when price moves outside of them, then that's your trigger. That's your trigger. I'm either shorting it, which I don't short, okay? And I've told everybody this before, I do not short. But if it's outside of the Bollinger Bands, short it. If it's below the Bollinger Bands, get long. That's your buy zones. That's you may take a little bit of a short-term hit, right? But when you see price go way below the Bollinger Band, don't be scared to buy it, because you know that price is going to pull back inside. And I think I've pointed this out time and time again on my charts, right? And if you go back and just throw Bollinger Bands on any chart, you can see it for yourself. What happens when price gets way outside Bollinger Bands? There may be an extreme here or there, where it could ride it up a little bit higher, but those are few and far between. Those are like once every, maybe twice a year. But for the most part, you want to buy or sell into those, right? Yeah, FOMO. Wow. Yeah. And just a quick story, as far as stop losses. So I'll tell you this story real quick, and I've told it time and time again. And I know that people don't know I don't trade full time. No. Nope. I don't. I have a day job. I have a day job. But I'll tell this story real quick. And I've told it before. And there's, I'm going to refresh this channel real quick because the video output is low. So I'm going to refresh it real quick. All right, there we go. So anyway, this was back in 2001, I want to say. Anyway, I am actually going to be service manager at a RV dealership. RV dealership. Yeah. I was working at a Honda dealership, but they weren't paying me very well. And so I got a job opportunity at this other place, and it's actually closer to home, and I don't have to work weekends. Thank God. So, much better gig. Yeah. But anyway, here's the thing. Back in 2001, and I see that here's some things about stop losses that I see on Twitter, right? People are like, well, I'm not going to put my stop loss out there because, they're going to see my stop loss and they're just going to hit it. No. If you fall for that trap, then I'm sorry, but you're a dumbass, right? Really? You're going to think that you are the one that they're going after when there's millions of traders out there? Really? I've seen that on Twitter and it almost made me laugh. I was like, come on. Really? You think because your one stop loss is out there that they're going to go after it just because you've got a measly however much it is? If you're a big trader and you got millions of dollars, yeah, I can understand that. But if you're out there and you've got $1,000 or $5,000, you really think they're going to go after your stop loss? No. Sorry. Feed that to somebody else. BH. Why do I not trade full time? Well, for one thing, so I went through it was like a financial crisis here not too long ago. And it wasn't because of trading. It was just because of dumbass moves I made. But anyway, I had to get back into the workplace and there you go. It happens. I would like to be able to get back to full-time trading, but it is what it is. I'm trying to get there, and eventually I will. But right now I got to have something to, support a $250,000 house. Got to pay the mortgage and got to pay the electric, got to pay internet, got to pay this, got to pay that. And not only that, but it's just hard. It really is. I mean, you try to do this full time, and unless you're absolutely perfect all of the time, or you have a paid subscription channel, right? You can't do it. And I'll challenge anybody to say that, okay, you try with $20,000. You try that. Try it. And see if you can make a full-time, do it month by month by month and pay your bills. And when you're looking at moves in the market, you're going to have to take so much risk, right? You're going to have to take so much risk that you could lose all your shit or you could become a millionaire. So you're going to either have to be really damn good all the time, perfect, or you're going to lose your shit. Right? That's what I say. But I'm trying to work my way back to that. I'll get there. But anyway, my point being on stop losses, and I'll go back to this. My story, this was back in 2001, and I was trading the S&P futures, and I was, wait a second, what's this? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. I mean, there's probably some guys out there trading full time, and I did that, and this is part of my story back 20 years ago. I did that for 3 years. That's all I did. Trade full time. Penny stocks. I did penny stocks. and it was great. Um, but back then it was easy because everything was in a bubble, right? It was 1999. It was 2000. Everything was in a bubble. It was easy. You could throw money at anything and it made money, right? It's easy. But in 2001, when the market started going down, I started getting into futures. I got into S&P futures, and I actually was doing really well. But it was one of those deals where and I'll tell you another story after this one real quick. But anyway, I got into the S&P futures one day and I was short. I shorted it. The market was crashing. It was going down. I was up $3,000. I was like, in one day I was like up 3,000. I was like, yeah, man, this is badass. Blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, and it was around 12 or 1 o'clock, and I'm sitting there looking at my screen and I'm looking at my stuff and I'm looking at my profit and I'm like, yeah, this is nice. All of a sudden, in like 2 seconds, I sit there and look at my $3,000 profit go to like a $2,000 loss or like a $1,000 loss. And I was sitting there going, what the hell? And I was looking at the charts and all of a sudden it was like, what the hell happened? What in the hell happened? Well, the Federal Reserve came out intraday for the first time in their history and cut interest rates. Well, guess what happens when that happens? The market goes up. And so everybody was like, it was like a euphoria for people that were long the market. And here I was, one of those guys that was shorting back then. And that's what got me off shorting, right? That killed me from ever shorting again. And it went up. I ended up losing, I think, $2,000 or $3,000. By the time I got out, I was like, just get me out. Screw it. Hit the sell button, get out, close the order. Lost $2,000 or whatever. And I was like, God bless. And when you know it, the next day, the market was down lower than where I had been in at. So if I just been patient with my short, I would have probably made about $10,000. But I wasn't, and I got scared, and I FOMO'd, and I got scared, and got out, and all that stuff. And then the other time where I got screwed was, and this was like it was 4 or 5 years ago, and I was trading the Forex, and I shorted, I think it was Euro Japanese cross. I can't remember which one. Anyway, and right as I placed my order to short, right? And I was hesitant to short it, right? I was like, God, I've done this before, but I don't want to do it again. I did it. And I hit the short button because everything on the chart looked perfect. Shorted it. And then all of a sudden, like 2 seconds later, there was an announcement from Japan that they did something, and I can't remember what the hell it was. And it went right totally against me. And so it liquidated me out. I mean, done. I was like, okay. So I had to recover from that. I couldn't even get a stop loss in. It was like, I placed my order. I was going to do the stop loss. Didn't even have, it happened just like that. Like 2 seconds. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I just wanted to kill myself. But anyway, that's just a story of what I've gone through. But there was a lot of good times. A lot of good times too. All right, so it seems a little strange that 20 years experience you can't maintain in full. No, Dude, I'm telling you right now. It's 20 years trying to do something full time. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, back then, when I did this, it was like the first 3 years were like, and I'll just tell you, in from December, maybe it was November of 1999 to March of 2000, I made $150,000. $150,000. 4 months. Right? 4 months. I made $150,000. Well, guess what happens? When you get that money, and you like, you're like, and I can remember my grandpa telling me, he's like, I was telling him how good I was doing and how much money I made, and he's like, you need to pay your house off. And my house note was only $60,000 back then. My very first house. And I was like, no, are you kidding me? I'm gonna make $1 million this year. Well, guess what? That was the top of the market in 2000. Go back and look at the charts. That was the very top. .com bubble. But I was still green back then. And so I was like, golly. Well, let's see, 2000, this is 2019. 34 years old, 32, 33, something like that. 33, 34, something like that. But I was like, man, I was like on top of the world. I was out there buying stuff. I was buying new furniture in the house. My mom had a house in Arkansas, and I bought her a new stove, a refrigerator. I mean, I was just blowing money all over the place. And it's amazing how fast that money can go. It really is. And so, and then all of a sudden, the market turned. And penny stocks were not doing shit, right? So I was trading penny stocks. Penny stocks. And penny stocks have their own little time frame where you can make money. And so when that dried up, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go over to a more active market. I'm going to go over to the NASDAQ. And so I was sitting there trying to play bounce plays on the NASDAQ, buy into this and then wait for the bounce. Well, you sit there and you see a small little bounce, not much, and then it drops even further, and you're like, oh shit. All right, something is going on here. And this is like when I'm still green and I'm like not expanding the chart out. I'm not looking at things. I mean, I'm just looking at like a 4-hour chart or something like that. I'm not looking at things on a longer term view. And I just got ripped. Absolutely got ripped. I mean, that was back. I mean, I was like, holy crap. That's like feeling, that's like Bitcoin when it hit 20,000. For some of those people, I can imagine how they felt. It was like, oh, it's 20,000. Oh, it's going higher. It's going to 40. Oh, it took a little bit of a dip. No, it's down to 16. No, it's going higher. It's just a dip. That's how I felt with the NASDAQ. And so I got my ass whipped. And then I started getting into futures, and you heard that story, and then I got into options, and then all of a sudden you find yourself, eventually your money, your cash flow runs out. You have losing trade after losing trade. Even though you think you're doing everything right, you're just trading against the trend. And so that's where I learned a big, big lesson. I was like, okay, I see what's going on now. It opened my eyes. And so it's hard to do that nowadays. It really is, unless you're, you don't have a day job. And I got a day job, but if I didn't have a day job, I'd be able to sit here and look at charts all day long and go, okay, that looks good. I can get into that. I'll hold it overnight. Yeah, there's just a lot of circumstances. A lot of circumstances. Man, what a painful lesson that was. All right, sorry to babble, guys, and sorry about the stories and whatever, but at least you're hearing it from somebody that's been there and done that, right? And I'm not afraid to tell my stories about losing money because it taught me a big lesson, and I lost a lot of money. Made a lot of money, but lost a lot of money. And I think that's what kind of gives me, makes me a little bit more conservative these days. Is that only because I've seen what can happen, and yeah, that's why when I put out a red alert or a yellow alert, it's like I know something's getting ready to happen pretty big, only because I've seen it. And that's where I think you can make the most money. But when you don't see that, it's like, and I know people probably are like, well, he's not making any calls. He's not doing anything. Well, sorry. I'm not going to sit there and tell you to go, okay, let's buy Bitcoin at 9,200. Okay, it's 91.29. And it's going to sit there for 2 days. And you're going to be going, well, man, you told me it was going to go up or blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to have you tie your money up. I mean, when I see something that's legit, I'll let you guys know about it. All I'm saying is when I say red alert, then be prepared. Just be prepared. And I'll be more specific next time for people on Twitter. But I thought I was pretty specific in our Discord channel where I thought things were going to go. And I put that chart out there. But I'm not going to put calls out there just to put calls out there. I know there's a lot of people, and I respect a lot of people out there on Twitter. There's a lot of good traders out there, but there's a lot of junk out there as well. And I don't want you guys to get trapped into that crap. I really don't. I saw that too much back in my day. Too much. Okay, so going back to Bitcoin, let's see, nothing really going on, kind of like we thought. Just trying to see if it'll hold on to the 200 or, 10, 50 EMAs right in here. Yeah, just kind of hanging on in there. Still the best buy zone, I think, right in this area, 8,800. maybe even, yeah, 89.20. But we'll see how it goes. Bitcoin dominance, again, just kind of meandering after the big move. That's a huge bullish engulfing. All right. And it kind of makes me laugh a little bit. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to rip on anybody. But I know a lot of people are, and I guess it goes to their time frames. And maybe I'm ripping them for the wrong reason. Some people are, they look at a 4-hour chart and they're like, and just their wording of a 4-hour chart, it's going to crash, right? Crash. And I'm like, well, wait a second. I'm looking at this chart and I'm looking at bullish engulfing and confirmed by another big green stick right here. There's nothing bearish about that chart to me, right? All this is corrective. After the reversal and a confirmation, this is corrective stuff. This is just corrective BS, right? So I don't think it's crashing, right? It's not crashing. I see this as coming back into an area where if it holds this area right in here at 69, then it's going higher. I don't know why these people are calling for, like it's crashing. It's going to go down. Alts are going to go up. We don't know that. I'm looking at this and it's telling me that, okay, well, I think Bitcoin's getting ready for another move. Because Bitcoin dominance does, obviously, what Bitcoin does. So I'm not in that camp, right? And I could be wrong. I mean, obviously, if it drops off a cliff, I'll come on here and say, hey, I was wrong, guys. I was wrong about Digibyte. I thought it would be 125 by Halloween. And we're Halloween and Digibyte is 76. I mean, it got up to 107. I thought it would get up to 125 I thought it would get up in here. I really did. I thought it would get up here and test the 200-day moving average by this time. That's what I thought, right? I thought that, it would go up, correct, go up and test 125, but I was wrong, right? And I admit it. That was a bad call. I was wrong. So, my bad. So, I can be wrong. I'm not perfect, guys. RTN and CVS, same pattern. Are you talking about CVS like on stocks? Like CVS, the pharmacy, or what? RTN. I guess, are these like what pair? BTC, USD? Sorry. Girlfriend was texting me. Okay, so you want... Okay, Mast, if you would, just type in, is it stocks or crypto, or is it USD BTC pair? All right, stocks. No, it's not a crypto channel, bro. No. You can ask about stocks. Absolutely. Let me go look at them. All right, so let's go look at. Let me change my cursor. Let's get this back over to yellow so you can see where I'm pointing to, and let's do. There we go. All right, so let's go to CVS. Do you hold those stocks? All right, this is CVS, right? Oh, healthcare. Okay. All right, so here. Oh God. Oh my. Okay, let me do some fib retracements on this. This looks ugly, or at least looks like a pullback coming. Not ugly. Yeah. Let's see. Let's take out that. Take out that. And that. All right. Get this going. All right. So CVS to me. All right, this is CVS. Okay. CVS looks like to me that it could possibly get up to this 61.8, right? Nice bullish momentum, moving averages looking good. Your squeeze indicator, as we've talked about, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We're going into an extreme on the squeeze indicator, right? An extreme, okay? Our stochastic, or slow stochastic is like, both of these are like at the very top, okay? I'm not saying it can't go higher. We know that things can stay overbought or oversold for long periods of time. My caution would be that you got two areas right here of major resistance, right? One is right here at the 61. We're obviously hitting some resistance at the 50% retracement, okay, from this previous move. But the 61.8 is right here. 78.6 is right here. Okay? I would be very, very cautious. Okay? Oh, and I'm sorry. That's a weekly chart. My bad. I'm looking at a weekly chart. My bad. So the weekly chart looks pretty extended. Let's go over to a daily chart. And I think he was asking about bull flag. There's no such bull flag that I see. Okay. And so on the daily, this right here, this pattern, okay, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Getting close to a top, right? But this red stick inside the green stick is not a bearish sign or a bullish sign. That's a bearish sign right there. So I would just say be cautious. You know, I mean, if you're long term and you want this for the long term, then hold. But if you're wanting to swing trade it, I think you could obviously, you know, hey, if it wants to rip a little bit higher up into here, which is what, 70? It's 67 right now. If it rips up into 70, anywhere up in this area is where I would be selling, big time. I would be selling. I would sell some, right? Just get some off the table, let it pull back in. I mean, it's a bullish chart, right? Short term. I mean, look at this. You can't argue with that. That's bullish. But that doesn't mean it can't pull back in and still be bullish, right? You're just staying within an uptrend, right? But as we saw on the weekly chart, and not only that, but on the squeeze indicator, we got a blue histogram right here. It shows loss of momentum. And so now what do we watch for? Tomorrow. And we may have this. Here's the other thing, okay? On the daily chart, you've got this indicator right here, okay? Hitting this high right up here. You've got this indicator lower, but with a higher price, or close to. That's a possible bearish divergence, right? Possible bearish divergence. So one can expect, and it's done this over time, right? And we know this is coming. It's not just going to go straight up. We know this, right? You go back and look at the slow stochastic. When it comes down, it comes down. Price follows. We're at the top here. Made a top here, and now we're rejecting this. Could it drop down and maybe come back and test the 50? That's around 63. I mean, again, I don't know if you're day trading this, swing trading it, whatever, but there's a possibility it could dip back right down into this area at the 50, possibly even the lower Bollinger Band. Somewhere in this area right in here. As long as it doesn't break that low, you're good. All right? Here's the thing on this. Low, low, higher 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 low. So keep the higher lows going. You get a nice little uptrend. Nice little uptrend. So as long as it doesn't break below, I'll just throw it on here. That area right there. If I'm a bull on CVS, I want to hold that area right there. And I'll move it down just a little bit because I don't think I got it right on it. But right in this area, where that red line is, I don't want to see it close. It can wick down below it, but I don't want to see it close below it. You get a red stick that closes down into this area, that's not good news. But overall, it's a bullish chart. It's really nice. I mean, it's going to retrace. It's going to, come back into some areas, but you just want to see it hold that area. Keep making higher lows. RTN. Let's go look at that. And seriously, I don't see where you're seeing the bullish flag at, unless you're looking at shorter time frames. RTN. Wow. Oh my. Wow. What is this one? Oh, Raytheon. Should have known that. Been a while. Let's see. Oh man. Look at this. Oh, this is beauty. I mean, so what else do you want out of your charts than this, right? It's like consolidation, right? And then you get the EMAs moving up and they're curling up, right? That is beautiful. Look at this. All of them. Every one of them are moving up. That's beautiful. Your squeeze indicator is getting toppy, right? And so you might get a retrace like back in here, right? So look where you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, however many histograms right there on this up move, and then it lost momentum, right? And so you get a corrective move, which is fine, pulls back into the 50 EMA, and then takes off again, right? So it could repeat itself right here, and especially where the stochastic RSI is, or the slow stochastic, could do the same thing. But I love the action of this over the longer term, right? So going into like January, February, this thing could be a monster. So you got a couple of good ones there, Mast. You do. You got a couple of good ones. You couldn't ask for better. Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure. My pleasure. Wow. CVS and RVN. Nice. Raytheon. And there are a lot of kids outside. Wow. I can hear them going up and down the street. And I feel like kind of a dick because I'm not, I got my lights out, but I'm being in here with you guys and I don't want any interruptions and I don't want, every 2 seconds handing out candy. Sorry. But I would much rather be in here with you guys and going over charts than doing that. Because there are a lot of other people that are doing it for me. Not that I hate kids, but we're doing our business. It's all business right here. Okay. Any other chart requests or question, guys? Bitcoin's still just kind of meandering in that area. Nothing's changed. Kind of like we talked about. Litecoin, same thing. Just meandering right there, just consolidating at the upper Bollinger Band. Oh, momentum. All right, so I'll do this. Momentum for me, and I guess you could probably get it off a MACD, maybe. You might also get it off a RSI, just an RSI, right? Just straight RSI, nothing else. But on my futures, here's where I kind of, and I'm sure there's momentum indicators out there and whatnot, but this is what I look for on my futures chart, right? So when I'm looking at something, it's like back in here, right? It's like right back in here. There was a squeeze indicator that went short, right? And you got selling. All of a sudden I see a yellow histogram and it just perks my ears. I'm like, okay, wait a second. Is this the start of something, or is this bears losing momentum? Losing momentum, right? And so I'm going to just do this. And I think I posted this the other night. And I did something along the lines of a trend line, right? And I was doing this. I was like, those yellow histograms kept getting shorter, shorter, and shorter in length, right? And so when I saw that, that is what kind of gave me, so to speak, my red alert, right? As I was looking at this and I was like, okay, bears are losing momentum. The price kept dropping and the momentum was going up for bulls. And I was like, somebody is buying into this, right? And so that's when I thought to myself, I was like, okay, so we're going to see one spike down, okay? And I pulled up my other chart just for confirmation. But I was like, we're going to hit a fib retracement somewhere, right? And on the other chart, it was a fib cluster. But then we come back and we get the couple of reds, right? Because that was obviously the sellers trying to push it down. They failed. And so when that happened, bulls took over and this thing popped, right? So it changed momentum. It changed it a little bit in favor of the bulls. So now bulls are in control. So now what am I watching? You know, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, let's watch the squeeze indicator, right? The histograms. Tomorrow, I mean, to be honest with you, tomorrow I would want to see a green day. I would want to see a green day. I want to see a day where, you know, maybe the candle goes up a little bit, gets up into this red one a little bit, and turns, right? I want to see another green day and get that histogram inching higher and then gaining momentum, right? It's momentum on the MACDs, right? And so maybe we see this on the slow stochastic. We see this top line hit the bottom and then bounce off and go higher. Very possible. Very possible. Not what I'm expecting, but it's very possible. It's very doable. So this thing, you know, it could break through the trend line tomorrow and give this MACD another, you know, blue histogram. But it also could put a blue histogram, a dark blue histogram, and bulls lose momentum. And then we go back to flat, right? Kind of like back in here. When it looks like bulls are trying to take over, but then no. Rug pull, you know, whatnot. So this is an area just to watch. It's not one of those you could buy the dips. You got your moving averages coming up. Back here was a little bit different because you had your moving averages coming down, right? I mean, they were going up here, drop back below. Right now, this is the area to hold, 8,800. That's your area to hold. Anything below that, and then we may start to drop lower, right? But I would be inclined to buy around the 8,800 area. Have a stop loss. If it breaks that 50 EMA, then or 50% retracement, then you're gone. And that's the one thing, guys. Don't be afraid of losing trades. It's going to happen, right? It's part of the market. If we were all 100% correct every time, then I wouldn't be in here. Nobody would be doing anything on Twitter. They would be on a beach somewhere and they could give a crap, right? We all lose trades. It's just a matter of how much you want to lose, right? Your risk. What is your risk? You know, I could risk something right here, right now. Okay. And oh, by the way, looking at this futures chart, let me zoom in. And this is kind of what I was wanting to see. Right? We got that green stick right inside the red one, right? Right inside of it. Right inside that red body. Closed right inside. So let's see what this one does. Let's see what this candle does right here, right? Is it going to come back and retest these lows? Or is it just going to go and break the trend line? Squeeze indicator long. Does the momentum push it higher? Or does it wick down lower and then go higher? That's the question. Order flows, you can't predict order flows. There's no way. You can't. I mean, if you sit there and look at, go pull up a trading, watch the trades go through. You can't predict that. It happens so fast, so quick. And there's people that throw in $1 million orders and $100,000 orders, and it just happens so fast, right? You stick to the charts. Just stick to those. Don't stick to the BS that's happening in between them, because that's where everybody's playing games and they're flopping their orders around and positioning themselves and whatnot. They're trying to get ahead of the fibs, and you got to remember. Here's the thing. You got to remember this, and this is what a lot of people don't talk about. They're sitting there talking about this thing is so manipulated, right? Well, let's put it this way. What if one guy wants the price to go down, but yet you've got, and let's call him Trader A. Trader A is sitting there going, I want the price to go down, and so when it gets to this price, I'm going to short the hell out of it. I've got $1 million. I'm going to short the hell out of this. But then you got Trader B that comes in and goes, well, you know what? I got my Fibonacci retracement or whatever charting technique he wants to use. This is my area to buy. And so I'm going to put $1 million right here. And so those guys are battling each other, right? Supply and demand. It's all supply and demand. Supply and demand. Who wants it more? Who wants to sell more? Who wants to buy more? That's where we're at. Okay? Did I expect a huge drop from the high of 9,500 out of the blue? You talking about like back up in here? Or 10,000? Or are you talking about back in here? I think, if I remember right, I was telling everybody not to buy anything outside the Bollinger Bands. And that was outside the Bollinger Bands. I will never, ever recommend buying anything outside the Bollinger Bands. Oh, last month. What, last month. Let's see. Let's go back and look at... the drop from 9,500. Where was that? Talking about back here? Oh, back here. That big red stick? Right there? Was that... September 25th? Oh, dude, no, 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 no. I was, God, oh no, I'm thinking back here. I'm sorry, back here where I called the bounce. I can't remember what I was calling back here. To be honest with you, I really don't. I really don't. I don't remember that. I don't. And if I was telling people to buy, then that's a bad call on my part. And I'll admit it. I do not remember that, to be honest with you. I don't. I do a lot of charts. A lot of charts and a lot of posting, and so I don't remember that area right there. You know what? I mean, God, I'd have to go back and look at it back on that date. I really don't remember. Um, I God, something tells me I put out a red alert back then. I think I did. I think I put a red alert out. Let me go back and look. I think I did. Let me look at my Twitter. I think I put a red alert out. Let me look. Let me go back and look at my Twitter from September 25th. Let me go back and look. I'm scrolling back right now. Let's see how good I am or how bad I am. I thought I put out a red alert or maybe a yellow alert. Let's see, September 25th. Here we go. Okay, so I put out a alert, not an alert, but I put out. Oh yeah. Okay. Here we go. So on the 24th, I talked about it in the live stream. Oh, I did put out a red alert. Oh, I did. Okay, so I'm gonna put this in the channel. Oh my God, I thought I did. I couldn't remember. Here we go. If you want to go back and look at it, I did put out a red alert. All right. Yeah, I put out a red alert. Okay. And it was like 2 days before, or maybe a day before the drop. And I think I even went on Twitter after that, and I was like, let's see, I put, yeah, big moves should happen. EMAs are bunched together right at resistance. And we were right at the trend line, right? I didn't say either way which way we're going, but my gut instinct was down. Let's see. And then I put this on the futures. Yeah, and so there's what I put on the futures. It was the day after, I think. It was like, I put out the red alert, and I was like, this doesn't look good. Or in my mind, I was like, red alert, be alert. Could go either way. And there we go. It was like, just be on alert. The Bollinger Bands were really tight. Squeeze indicator was flat, very flat. There was nothing going on with the squeeze indicator for like 2 or 3 days. And that just got my spidey senses going. And I was like, wait a second, something's getting ready to happen. And sure enough, that's what happened. I didn't like how we didn't make a higher high, you know, and in my mind we were bouncing off that upper Bollinger Band when it was coming down. And I was like, this could just go right back down to the lower Bollinger Band. and it obviously hit the lower Bollinger Band and went way below it. And at that point, I think at that point, when either in Discord or somewhere, I was telling people at that time, I was like, look, price is below the Bollinger Bands. It's way below. Now's the time to start thinking about buying, or at least think about buying, and get back in. Just kind of hold a little bit, and you could play the bounce or scalp it or whatever you wanted to do. But we went sideways for a while, and then we made that briefly lower low, and that's where we got our pop on the last one. And that's kind of like when I put all this together, I was like, okay, wait a second. There's, this is something screwy going on. You make a briefly lower low, hit the freaking cluster on the Coinbase chart, and then it takes off. Nice reversal, and boom. So, we'll see. Obviously I can be wrong, guys. I've been wrong in the past. I don't think I've been wrong a ton of times. And I say a ton. I don't think I've been wrong very many times on my calls. But as far as direction and what I'm thinking, but anyway, it's one of those things that from experience and just your intuition and what you look at it and see in your eyes. It just takes experience looking at it. You're looking at candlesticks and you're like moving averages and you're like, wait a second, something doesn't look right. The moving average, the fib, something doesn't seem right, and you're like, okay, that's the time for the call. And so when I put that red alert out, I was like, these moving averages are all bunched together and it just didn't look right. Price was going lower and it couldn't make a higher high. And I was like, red alert. And we got that drop. All right. So, anyway, no red alerts right now. No yellow alerts. Excuse me. No yellow alerts, no red alerts. We're just kind of in a consolidation pattern right here. And as we talked about, and we'll see what happens, could break out of this. The squeeze indicator wants to go higher, right? It wants to, but can it? That's the question. Can it? Can it go higher? Can we get a bounce like right in here off this slow stochastic and push this higher up in here? I wouldn't be surprised, guys. I really wouldn't if we were at 10,000 tomorrow. I wouldn't. But then again, I wouldn't be surprised if we're at 8,800 and then bouncing off that. So watch for the wicks. Watch for the scare tactics to get you out of your position, only to rip it higher. Okay? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm calling. God, I forgot all about that last month. Oh man, that's my memory. Sometimes I can't remember. I can remember a lot of stuff, but man, I forgot totally all about that one, that red alert I called. Wow. Put that red alert out, and within one day it dropped. And then I put the red alert out with the other one, and within 2 days it popped. So when I put these these alerts out, it's not just show and gimmicks. It's for a purpose, right? It's for a purpose. All right, guys. Any other questions or chart requests? Chart requests or questions? Might hang around just a little bit, just in case anybody has any questions. And guys, if you would do me a favor, God, I keep forgetting to tell everybody this. Hit the like button, please. It would help me out so much. Hit the bell. There's a bell button on there. Just hit that if you would. Today's Deribit. What is Deribit? I saw somebody else post about that. I have no clue. And that's, sorry guys, I'm getting into the fundamentals of stuff, but what is Deribit? And what did they do? Is that a trading exchange or coin? Sorry about that. Hit my phone on mute. It's like BitMEX. Okay, so it's an exchange. What happened with them? What happened? They go under? System glitch. So they back up and running, or is that all it was? Just a glitch? Price dropped to 70. What price? Oh, their Bitcoin price dropped to 7,700? So I guess, and I'll go back to this, right? Here's my general thought on things, right? Is when I was trading 20 years ago, okay, or more. Well, no, it was actually 20 years ago. Or no, was it 30? Let's see, 2019, 2009. Yeah, it was 20 years ago. So when I was trading 20 years ago, and this is, you got to remember, this is the .com days, right? And so there was .coms going all over the place. Pets.com, you name it, .com, right? There was a lot of exchanges out there. There was, a lot of crap going on. And this reminds me what and I said this a long time ago, what Bitcoin and all these other altcoins are going through. They're going through what those .coms did back then. So there's going to be a lot of these coins that are just going to disappear, right? They're going to disappear. There's going to be a lot of exchanges that disappear. And you're going to see a lot of consolidation within the exchanges. So there's going to be major players that will take over those exchanges, whether that be Binance taking over KuCoin, Binance taking over BitMEX, you know what I'm saying? Or BitMEX taking over whoever. There's going to be a lot of consolidation. And there's going to be a lot of coins that are going to go bye-bye. They're going to go to zero. They're going to get delisted, right? Their price is going to drop to nothing because they have nothing. So be careful of what you get into. And that's why I say when you stick to my trading plan, right? And I'm going to harp on this again. Stick to my trading plan and don't sit there and fall in love with one coin. Don't. Don't fall in love with one coin. Just be a trader. Get that in your mind. You're a trader. You don't care. That's why when I look at fundamentals of something, I could care less. I could really care less about the fundamentals. I just want to trade the chart. And if it's going to give me and make me a little bit of money over a short period of time, I could care less what it does. Because I'm going to make my money, I'm going to take my investment out, and then I'm going to make some profit, and then I'm going to leave a little bit in there just in case, right? Just in case. It could be, I'll leave that there for the long term. And then if I see the chart and I look at it 2 months later and it looks like I want to do it again, then I'll do it again. But I'm not going to sit there and fall in love with something and put all my money into it and just sit there and hope and pray that this thing's going to go to the moon. That one day somebody's going to pump it or whatever. I'm not going to fall into that trap. I did that with penny stocks back in the day. I'm not doing it now. All right? I don't know anything about the Binance margin, but I will tell you this. I'm not a margin player. I hate margin. But I saw Big Cheds put a deal on Dudex about their margin, and I signed up for it, to be honest with you. I did. But the thing about it is that I don't have to trade margin with them. I only did it so I could get the 10 free bucks. I did it for the 10 free dollars. You know, I'm anywhere I can get free money, I'll take it. So I did what they wanted me to do. There's a questionnaire when you sign up with them, and one of the things is you have to retweet their pinned tweet and make a comment just to get the 10 bucks. So I put some money in that account and I posted it, and I got 10 free bucks. And if I want to trade the margin, I'll trade it. If I don't want to, I don't have to. I would say on leverage, you want to be really careful, right? Especially when shorting. Because, let's put it this way. You short something, or let's do this. Let's start this way. If I was to buy something on leverage, right? If I was to buy something on leverage, I could go 100 times what I want to buy, right? What's the worst that can happen? They're going to liquidate me and I'm out, zero. I mean, I lost all the money I had into it. If I short something on leverage and it goes higher, then what happens? I could keep losing money into infinity. The worst that can happen when I buy something is it drops to zero and I lose all the money I had into it. If I short it, guess what? I got people calling my phone asking for money, right? If I don't have a stop loss, right, they could just sit there and go, well, you owe me this, you owe me that. There was a story about a guy, and I'll tell you this quick story real quick. There was a guy, and I think you could probably look it up. There was an e-trader, okay? There was a guy, and this happened like 3 years ago. And I'll never forget it. There was a pharmaceutical company, and the guy was well known. He was on CNBC. He was a scam artist, whatever. And I think he's in prison right now. But anyway, there was a penny stock it was a shell company. He bought this shell company. It was a penny stock, and he bought it at 50 cents, right? The owner of this pharmaceutical company. Or actually it was $1. I think he started buying it around $1. And I remember watching this thing, and I was sitting there I didn't buy into it, and I didn't do anything with it. I just sat there and watched it for a little while. And I was like, this is kind of strange. This thing is just, even though this thing declared bankruptcy, it kept hanging on around a dollar. And everybody was like, this thing ought to be at a zero. It ought to be zero. It ought to be 10 cents, blah, blah. I was like, kept looking at it, and I was like, man, they declared bankruptcy and it's still 10 cents? Or, I mean, a buck? Well, lo and behold, this thing, like, over the next 3 days, there was an announcement that this guy came in and bought this shell company, and this thing went from like a buck or $2 all the way up to 33 within 3 days. $2 to $33 in 3 days. And people were, I mean, unbelievable. People shorted the shit out of this thing and they got crushed. I mean, absolutely got squeezed and crushed and drove price higher. And so there was a story about this guy that he shorted it at, I want to say it was like $2. And he's a business guy. He shorted it at $2. He goes into a meeting and his phone is blowing up and he's in this meeting and he's like, you know, what the hell is going on? You know, and all of a sudden he comes out of his meeting and he looks at his phone and he's like, all these people are telling him the price where he shorted it at is $30 higher because it rose that much in 1 day. He got liquidated. I mean, not liquidated, but he had to go on, what's that site where you ask people for money? GoFundMe. He actually went on GoFundMe because he could not get out of his position quick enough by the time that stock rose, and he was owing E-Trade like $130,000 or something like that. Crazy. That's why I never short stuff. Never short. I mean, I'm sure there's people that could be more disciplined about it and have their stop losses in place, but this guy had no chance. Zero. Had to go on GoFundMe just to pay E-Trade $100 and whatever thousand. Crazy stuff. That was wild times. I remember that. God, that was crazy. And I think it was like, God, what was that guy's name? Crazy. It was a pharmaceutical. It was like KMD or I can't remember. Let's see. If I guarantee if I typed in pharmaceutical. Oh, what's his name? Oh, I wish I could remember his name. Golly, what's his name? Anyway. Oh, Beyond Meat. Yeah. Fabio, when you open a BTC position, you have to add leverage? No. Are you talking about on Dudex? Or are you talking about like on Coinbase or? No, you don't have to trade on margin. You don't. You could trade 1-to-1. You could trade 1-to-1 on Dudex. If you want to trade margin, you can. Oh, I have no idea about BitMEX. I don't have an account on BitMEX. I have I have Coinbase, Dudex, KuCoin, uh, Bittrex. I have Bitcoin USA. So I think, what is that? Five different exchanges I have accounts with. 1 to 1. Well, it's like if I buy it at $1 and it goes to two, then I've made $1. If I do times two, then I've doubled my profit. If I do times three, times four, times five, times whatever you want, but as you increase your risk on that, then that decreases where you get or it increases where you get liquidated at. Just to be clear. All right? Because they're basically loaning you money to either go long or short. And so when you get to a certain point, they're going to be like, okay, I'm going to get that money out and I'm getting you out. Yeah, 1 to 1 is, I'm calling that basically a flat trade. It's like there's no leverage. 1 to 1 is no leverage. Okay, so hopefully that answers some questions. Um, Anything else? So you can hold a long position forever. Um, yeah, but I think they charge you a little bit of interest per day. So your liquidation point will probably rise every day because they're not going to just loan you that money and not charge you interest, right? It's not like free money. They're not going to sit there and say, okay, well you can trade. Let's see, you bet $1 and I'm going to give you 1,000, and if it just sits there forever, then you know what I'm saying. They're gonna charge you interest per day. What's up, Abram? Good to see you, buddy. Just kind of doing our thing in here. Talking about leverage charts, blah blah. I guess we should call the day. No, I'm good to go, guys. As long as y'all need me here. Fabio, have a good one, man. I hope I helped you out. I really do. I hope everything I did was good for you. Oh, you're welcome. All I ask, guys, is just hit the like button. If not, hit the down button, and I'll know. Anyway, we're just sitting here looking at charts, and I was giving my thoughts on stuff. I'm good, Abram. How about you, buddy? RVN. Let's go look. You want the BTC pair? All right, so here's the BTC pair, right? And so when I did this chart a while back, and I had this fib retracement from this high to this low, and there's your resistance, right? 78.6. And we know that the 78.6 is a very strong reversal fib pattern if it plays out, right? If you get a strong reversal candle off that, then it's important. Well, it was important here. You got a dark cloud cover candle pattern and rainy days ahead, right? So obviously dropping lower. So let's check, obviously we got, and I think this was longer term. I have to go back and look. I had this area right in here, and I don't see anything lining up. Yeah. Okay, so there we go. So it broke the 78.6. Your next major support is going to be 237. Right? But let's do this. Let's see, right there. There you go. Okay. So was that just a wick to stop people out? That's the question, right? You got a low over here. You had people buying, setting stop losses. People that bought over here and set stop losses are good, right? And then you get the FOMO, and then all of a sudden people are selling out, and now you're coming back. Now these people over here got stopped out if they held their stops, right? If they held them. These people over here that bought and had stop losses, let's just say they bought at the low, their stop losses are probably right down in here where that wick is, right? Or close to, or either they're adding to that position. So that's what you're looking at. And then I would also look at this. And I'll do it, and I'll see if I can do it on this chart. I don't know if I can. I mean, look at the volume. It's not going to let me do it. Gosh, dog it. Let's see. Let me do this. Yeah, gosh, dog it. It's not going to let me do it. Anyway, look at the volume spike right here, and how volume has decreased. And I was wanting to draw a trend line. So volume is down here where you're asking yourself, okay, who's going to sell it down here? You had the big move here, and people sold into it right here, and they were taking profits. And all of a sudden you're getting this low volume decline, right? Right into support. Low volume decline into support. So that just tells me one thing, that obviously price got outside the Bollinger Band right here, This almost makes me want to put a call out on RVN right now. It really does. It almost makes me want to put out a long call on RVN. The only thing that's keeping me back from this is this area. I mean, it could still drop down to the 127.2 or 1.272, right? But if you've got the risk, okay, if you've got the risk and you're willing to play it, right, you could buy, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to zoom in, okay? Let's zoom in on this chart. I had this big move right here, wick down below just to scare short, get the longs out. This thing could, and I'm going to put on a fib retracement. And let's go down to there. Oh gosh, this thing is not locking. There we go. All right. Is somebody jacking with me? What's going on? There we go. All right. So let's go from that high to this low. All right. So to me, I want to see RVN break, and I think eventually it's going to test the 38.2, right? Everything comes back to the mean. It comes back to the mean. Moving averages show this, right? So when you think something is just horrible, looking bad, what happens? It comes back and tests the mean. The only thing is that it could get down to here before it does test the mean, right? But it's inside the Bollinger Bands, and so I'm thinking that this might just be like an important bottom, and then it bounces from here. So we could see 345 if you're wanting to play a scalp. A little bit of a scalp. You know what I'm saying? Volume is so low, and it could stay low, and price could just drift down in this area. It could get down to 300, 302, somewhere in this area, and just go sideways for a little bit, and then all of a sudden it breaks the 10 EMA and it goes up and tests the 20, and then it tests the 50. Right? And that's short-term view. That's short-term view. And then you just go with the trading plan, right? If you're trading this and you go with the trading plan, if you're buying in here and you set your stop loss, I would set my stop loss like one sat right below that low, because if it goes below that, it's coming down here, right? So you're talking about a 40 sat drop, right? From there to there. But if it holds this green area, this green line, this green zone area, buy zone, then you could play this as a short-term scalp, right? Let's go in a little bit further. Let's go to a 4-hour chart. Okay, here's a 4-hour chart. So we got our fib here to the low there. Okay, let's do this. Let's go. Well, I guess we could do from this fib. It's not on it. Let's go that fib. Oh, come on. All right, so let's go from that fib, that high to this low, and let's see if things line up, right? And lo and behold, what do we got? We got a big cluster lining up right here around 345. Right? That's 345. That's the area if you're playing this and you're wanting to play a bounce, right? Get above the 10 EMA, or actually the 50, and then turn. That's where you're going to take your first profit. You're going to take your first profit right in this area at 345. It's probably going to hit there. It's probably going to stop. It's going to go sideways to down, maybe move down a little bit, and then it's going to go up and maybe get back up into this 233 day moving average. If that's the bottom. If that's the bottom, right? We got a long wick, so somebody was interested right here, right? Higher low, higher low. So let's see if that's a more important bottom, all right? Stochastic RSI, holding down here, low volume. There's this whole move has been nothing but, after that big drop, just consolidation. All right. So this has me really tempted to take a position RVN. It really does. I'm looking at this, and it really has me tempted to take a position in this. The only problem that I'm seeing on the 4-hour chart, and of course this is a 4-hour. I mean, things can change in a heartbeat, but that's a dark cloud cover candle pattern. Means it could go lower. I mean, you're going to get a little bit of a retrace back. Could go lower. But if it can stay above the 10 and the 20 right there, if it can stay above those and come up and test this area, then it could lead to higher highs. Okay? The only thing I don't like is that, after this low, you had a high up here. Okay, that's nice. You had a high here, low, higher low, higher high, higher low, but then you had a lower high. That's the only thing that gives me pause about this, right? And so what would one want to do? And you can play this any different ways, right? You could just go like this. Just draw your array, Okay, if price breaks above that trend line, right? Because obviously we had a high, lower high. We had a lower low over here. So I want to be real cautious, okay? Real cautious. Really, really cautious. Everything's kind of lining up moving average-wise, but that doesn't mean that this thing can't drop 20 sats in a heartbeat, right? So I want to see it break above the trend line and get up into this area and make a higher high, right? That's a nasty candlestick pattern right there to deal with. Nasty. right? That's a dark cloud cover. So I want to see it make a higher high and get above that 38.2. And then after that, let's just say it does, right? You can play the breakout. Get above, I mean, by this time, and it's probably going to be a couple of days before this plays out, but the 50 EMA is going to be right here, probably meeting the 38.2 along with the upper Bollinger Band, right? We're getting a nice kick off the lower Bollinger Band, but I want to see that hold. I want to see that area hold and be more important support to push this higher. Just knowing that that area right up there is going to be my selling point. 345. So hopefully that makes sense. If not, I will go through it again. Does that make sense? If not, by the way, there is no such thing as a stupid question in this channel. No such thing. So if you do not understand, I will go through it again. Okay. So where is your position at? Where are you in RVN at? And don't be afraid. I mean, guys, don't be afraid to post your positions. I mean, we all lose trades. We're all in bad positions. We all get into stuff that we don't want to be. But don't be afraid to put out where you're at. I mean, I want to help you. I mean, if you tell me where you're at, I can try to help you get out of that position or, help you somehow. Don't be embarrassed to put it on here. Nobody should ever be embarrassed to put their positions in this channel. Ever. All right. So you got that down. RVN. Good support. I mean, good support in this area. Good support. So we'll see. Like I say, I want to see it break above that trend line and then go higher, right? That's what I want to see. I want to see it get above that and make a higher high. All right, so I'll leave that on there for a few days. Oops. Accidentally moved that. Let's see. Let me get that back where it's supposed to be. There we go. All right. So we want to see higher highs on RVN, right? Okay, so that's RVN. Let's go look and see what ETH. I'm very curious about that because it looked very bearish to me. Yeah. Okay. It's kind of following through on what I thought, unfortunately. But it's kind of got this choppy sideways stuff going on right here, much like other altcoins. And there's a lot that looks similar, right? Bitcoin looks like this. Litecoin kind of looks like this. So corrective nature right here after the big run up, right? And this is what I'll tell you guys. You know, you get a big move and a nice reversal pattern like this. And what's it doing? It's correcting just above that. Okay? It's like I said earlier, this could go a little bit sideways to down, right? Sideways to down, and then take off. It's going to be a few days, maybe a couple of days. Or it could be, hell, who knows, tomorrow. Could be tomorrow, for all I know. I'm not expecting that, but it could be. I mean, this could be one of those things where tomorrow we wake up and see Bitcoin at 10,000. And if Bitcoin's at 10,000, then guess what? Litecoin is over 60. Ethereum is, over 190. Just one of those things. It's a very corrective looking move right there. Very corrective. And we're just kind of hanging out. Like, here's the thing. Like, here's the deal, guys. Look at this. On the daily chart, expanded out. This area right over in here was big time consolidation, right? Big time consolidation, 10,000. Now we're up here, we're retesting it. And so what's going to happen if we break that? If we break this consolidation area, it's off to new highs. But this is just consolidation, right? That's all we need to worry about. It's consolidation just below this area. There's a lot of stuff to chew through right in here. A lot of stuff. A lot of sell orders, a lot of junk. You got to chew through that, right? It's not going to happen overnight. All right. Let's see. XRP. What's XRP doing? Same old thing. Kind of like we talked about the other night. Just hovering right here below the 200 and the 233 day moving average. This is best to be played on a breakout, right? Don't sit there and think that don't assume that it's going to go higher. I mean, obviously, if Bitcoin does go higher, it's probably going to drag this with it. But you never know. It's a different coin, right? It reacts differently. It's not chart patterns different than Bitcoin, so it's a different chart. But it's got a lot of resistance in this area. So don't buy at resistance. Let it pull back. Okay? What else do we got? I got a couple more minutes here, guys, and then I'm going to head out. Any questions? I'll give it a 1 minute call. 1 minute call. Clock ticking. 1 minute call. And guys, please hit the like button. If please hit the like button, hit the bell at the bottom. Leave a comment. Whatever. going to exit out of the pointer focus. I am getting ready to call it night, guys. I sure appreciate everybody coming in here, and we will catch you guys on the flip side. I will be in Discord for a little bit tomorrow, and then I'm going golfing at 2 o'clock. I'll be around tomorrow night, since I don't have to be at work again till Monday. So anyway, have a good one, guys. I sure appreciate you coming in.